What did you fought something or?
There was a big blue dragon.
Ugh.
You would have
No
loved it.
bigs?
Yeah,
Like, no sweat?
On Tuesday?
Are you gonna show us the notches on your upper delt for all the ones that you...
Your house.
Well, I can, but I ran out of notches on my belt.
Announcement at the end. Again. Yasha Nydoorin, a laconic and awkward fallen ASMR from the wastes of Xhorhas. The first impression one might get is that Yasha is a typical strong, cold fighter. However, she has shoved those presumptions to the side and showed us a different and scarred side of the character. So who's Yasha? I'll go into her connections to the Mighty Nine, her past, and her character arc. Through the campaign, we have learned that Yasha grew up in a harsh environment, fighting over other children to death, and in her adult years she was a ruthless killer. All understandable, knowing that she lived in the harsh wastelands of Xhorhas. Despite that, Yasha considers herself to be cowardly, having admitted to running away from her tribe before her wife's Zwala's execution. Yasha has shown to be very socially awkward, and will rarely speak unless spoken to. She's often blunt and abrupt when talking to strangers, but she has a caring side to her as well. Her outward personality, however, changed significantly after she was taken over by Oban's charm effect. She had an almost constant anger welling up inside of her, which ranged from barely contained to an almost sadistic ruthlessness. While under the charm effect, she seemed to take a great pleasure in attacking and injuring her former party members. From within her mind, she was scarred as she watched herself harm her friends, and further scarred by being unable to break the control over her. She regained her previous personality upon being freed of Oban's control. Although I mentioned this in a passing-by manner, Oban's presence was an important cornerstone in Yasha's arc, and it's not in a way you might think. We will get back to that with more pieces in place. What do her relationships to the Mighty Nine tell us about her? Bo, the rebellious member of the Cobalt Soul, has planted seeds for a potential new relationship with Yasha. However, given her past, Yasha is still reluctant to grow emotionally or intimately close to anyone, because as she told Jester, she was afraid to lose them. This is one of her many scars. Jester stands as the single individual who can bypass Yasha's defenses. Jester is a child at heart and knows that Yasha needs warmth the most out of anyone. Others would struggle with showing that, however, Jester, with her naive heart, is free of her fragile ego.
It had to be scary, right, if that's all you'd ever known?
Yeah, I had to leave.
Why?
I did something that, wasn't the right thing to do, according to my tribe.
You can say what it is. I won't tell anyone.
But I fell in love with someone else that was not chosen for me. And we got married privately.
You got married, Yasha?
I did. But they found out, and the punishment for that is death. And they killed her. And I ran away. So I am a coward, I guess.
When the Mighty Nine moved into the Xhor house, Jester painted a field of wildflowers on Yasha's bedroom wall. This act alone made her feel more comfortable. Other members of the Mighty Nine work as supporting pillars and mirrors. After Oban was defeated and Yasha was set free from his influence, she and Caleb grew closer. Yasha looked to Caleb for guidance and how to move forward despite her guilt. She encouraged him to be open about his romantic feelings before it was too late, echoing her relationship with Zwala. She confided in him about her strange dreams, and he, in exchange, offered his support on Rumblecusp, encouraging her to allow herself some happiness. So by now, you might say that Yasha's character arc is one of redemption. Well, yes, but actually no. A redemption arc focuses on a person that has fallen from grace and the norm of morality by their own account. They might have been pushed or seduced. However, by the end, the tipping point is always the result of the character. Being controlled by Oban did not disgrace Yasha. She was made to do those things, and although for the longest time the party and the viewer might have thought that that was the true nature of Yasha and where she came from, that was not so. And killing Oban wasn't the end of that arc. She did not redeem herself, because her true journey is that of rebirth. She fled her home, abandoning the one she loved, wounding herself mentally, and rooting those problems deep inside of her. That was her status quo. Her hero's journey started when she met the party. That symbolized a new world and the crossing of the threshold. However, that is not enough to trigger change. That can only happen at a point of breaking. Her time with the party softened her up, slowly chipping away at her defenses. But the true strike that crippled Yasha, the belly of the whale, was Oban and his exerted control over her. After freeing herself and killing Oban, she was at her lowest, showing it at the fighting pits of King's Cut, where she sought punishment, showing her belief of being irredeemable. But with time, Yasha grew and healed. That was her test, and she succeeded, being surrounded by caring friends. She needed to get over her guilt of leaving Zwala behind, of resting with the idea of what she was made to do while charmed, to truly grow. The rebirth was complete at Rumblecusp. Following Zwala's voice, Yasha came to terms with her guilt, breaking the chains that burdened her. The mental change was accompanied by white feathers sprouting on her once skeleton wings. Her quest is not over. She will still experience turmoil and grief, but it will be less destructive now due to the lessons learned and the people that surround her. Her redemption arc is not for others, but for herself. And for that to happen, she had to go through a metamorphosis. Yasha the Reborn. She will continue to become more trusting, happy, caring. She will lean on others and not isolate herself. It's always fun to dig into Critical Role, especially as each character is different and open to so many paths of storytelling. Next up will be Beauregard. If you'd like to see your art up here, please send it my way. Email down below. These videos are not much, but I like to do as much good as possible. Create a small hub of artists to show their work, and that was the announcement. A bit unceremonial and the other way around, but all the links are in the description. See you next time.